Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is November the 17th, 2025. And while we, and yes, many nations of the world are fighting for a just peace and a sovereign future for Ukraine, there are at the same time those same supporting nations, powerful organizations like NATO that are using this war as a science experiment and as a laboratory. And Matthew Whitaker, the United States ambassador to NATO, really cracked that door open with his last statement. We're going to jump into all of that. As you can see, I am very under the weather, as we say here in the United States. I'm hoping my voice holds out for this video, but there was no way I could sit on this. I've been resting and working and preparing the information, and it must get out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. As you can see by the title of the video and the thumbnail, I'm going gangbusters on this one. Right now, it's about peace. It's about peace in word only. It's about peace in some deeds, but the reality is this war is about the future, and Ukraine is trapped right in the middle of it. There are some thoughts, in my opinion, doing this every day for 4 years and spending 30 years of my life working in this region that are gaining traction, in my opinion. What is the world trying to do? And I look forward to your opinions on some of these thoughts that I've put down. Number one, the world wants to weaken the Russian economy, want to weaken the war machine. They would love to change out Putin. Number two, boosting global defense industry and economic gains. Many companies and people are making massive money on this war. Number three, changing the global order of energy flow. We're even looking at Zelensky talking about LNG from the USA coming now through Greece and coming through Europe. Rare earths. We never used to hear about that phrase. Now it's center stage. And now we know, Whitaker cracking the door, that the war is being used as a laboratory of learning, and Ukrainians are paying the price for it every day. There's technology learning, battlefield insights, driving, NATO modernization like drone technology, artificial intelligence. And think about this. Everybody's screaming about the mobilization issues that Ukraine is having. Nobody sees how Russia mobilizes because it's behind that iron curtain. But the modern mobilization lessons the world is learning. It's easy to look at Ukraine and to throw shade on them, but you're not a nation that's in war, and that really, if you're sent to that front with the drones, it's a death sentence. So the world learning about modern mobilization in 2025. This is not 1939, other than historical patterns repeating, but this is a different world. Now, let's get into some details for the next few minutes. Matthew Whitaker cracking the door. Yes, saying the right things. 4 years of war. We want peace. But in the end, this is a laboratory for us. Check this out.
4 years of this war are now 4 years too many. And I still continue to believe what President Trump believes, and that peace is the only viable path forward. The killing must stop. Thousands of soldiers are now dying every single week on the battlefield. And, my experience in visiting Ukraine was, first of all, the resilience of the people of Ukraine. I mean, obviously they're in the middle of a war, but they're trying to go about their daily lives. The innovation that I saw, with not only the drones, but the missiles and other warfighting capabilities, that they're not waiting around for handouts or subsidies from the rest of us. They're moving out as fast as they possibly can to, continue their war that was, brought when Russia invaded their borders.
Right.
But at the same time, it's also a battle lab of the future. What we're seeing on the battlefield is different from what we've ever seen. And, the United States especially, but our NATO allies as well, need to learn those lessons and make sure that we're ready to fight a war like that, because it's different than anything we've ever seen.
There you have it, guys. That is, excuse me, straight from Matthew Whitaker, that is the United States ambassador to NATO, very close with the U.S. administration. Yes, we want peace. But you know, those Ukrainians are resilient. I've never seen people like that in the middle of the war trying to go on about their daily life. All of that is true. They are fighting and going about the best of their ability as Russia rains down bombs, drones, and missiles daily. It's a grind. And then the world casting so much shade. Oh, it's so evil. It's so corrupt. Guys, you don't have any clue what you're talking about when you refer to a nation that's trying to break out of basically 100 years, 80 years of that Soviet mindset and domination. But at the end, Whitaker makes it very clear. This is a laboratory for us. We are learning. U.S., powerful nations, NATO, this is helping us learn. So where do you want peace or do you want to learn? That's the big question. And Ukraine is trapped right in the middle. Now you see why I'm pushing through, to get this video out today. This is critically time sensitive that we understand as we push forward into this week. Now let's continue. Russia has started a new propaganda campaign. This is the second piece I needed to get out to you today. And that is they're asking this question: who is the new aggressor? This is a Kremlin push. It's coming out of Zakharova. It's coming out of Peskov. It's coming out of Medvedev. It's coming out of government leaders, the committee chairman of the Defense Council, the Russian State Duma. They're taking statements of European nations or Ukraine or Western nations and spinning them. So here we have the general staff of the Polish army stating today that an armed attack is likely being prepared against Poland. The enemy has begun preparing for war. They are creating a certain environment here, the purpose of which is to undermine public trust in our government, in key institutions such as the armed forces and the police, and to create conditions conducive to potential aggression on Polish territory. This is from Kukula, the general of Poland. In addition to that, Donald Tusk making a video today confirming that there have been 2 places on rails of sabotage where Ukrainian supply trains are coming from Poland into Ukraine. The first one was kind of quiet. I heard about it. But now the second one, Tusk visiting it today and say, listen, this is sabotage. We're being sabotaged. So what does Zakharova do on the right? Well, she says now there's no doubt about who the real aggressor is. Maria Zakharova said this in response to EU rhetoric like Poland, and specifically Pistorius. The German defense minister claimed that a NATO-Russia war would supposedly break out before the end of 2029, and that is a quote. Donald Tusk, we can confirm, as I told you, 100%, there is a second sabotage act on our railways between Poland and Ukraine. And yes, this is where supplies to Ukraine transit. Who's the new aggressor? Well, guys, listen to this. We have a clear understanding of who our likely adversary is. At present, our likely adversary is NATO, and our actual adversary is Zelensky's gang, known as the AFU. This gentleman you're looking at is Kartapolov. He is the head, the chairman from the Duma of the Security Defense Council of Russia. Listen to him. We have a very clear understanding of who our likely adversary is. At present, our likely adversary is NATO, and our actual adversary is Zelensky's gang, known as the AFU. Ladies and gentlemen, are you seeing how much rhetoric has ramped up over the last 36 hours? Everything I'm sharing with you on this Monday morning has been bubbling all weekend. Let's go here. Who is the new aggressor? At the rate of events unfolding, currently it shows that a war between NATO and Russia will begin by 2029, says German Defense Minister Pistorius. This is exactly what Zakharova was commenting on. This is also what Medvedev commented on, and he stated today that the war will continue until the Russian Federation achieves its objectives. It is simple as that. Medvedev did not only respond to the rhetoric coming, excuse me, out of the EU, the statements that, for example, Matthew Whitaker said, that was a blanket statement here. We're continuing until we're done. But this statement also came after Donald Trump made his statement about the potential of new sanctions against Russia or nations that do business with Russia. Now, we'll get to that in a second, but it's Trump made those statements on the tarmac. Medvedev responds. Not only Medvedev responds to that, and you can see that here. You have Pistorius on the left, you have Medvedev on the right, but in addition to that, you also have this. Peskov responding directly to Donald Trump. Trump stating on the tarmac, I have heard the Republicans are pushing a sanction bill. I am not opposed, and maybe we need to add Iran into that also. Listen to this, and then I'll give you the Peskov response.
Mr. President, is it time for Congress to move legislation that puts pressure on Russia, that puts pressure on Putin?
Well, I hear they're doing that, and that's okay with me. They're passing legislation, or the Republicans are putting in legislation that very tough. It's sanctioning, et cetera, on any country doing business with Russia. They may add Iran to that, as you know. I suggested it. So any country that does business with Russia will be very severely sanctioned. We may add Iran to the formula, yeah.
So there you have it. That is a statement. Of course, we are at a very critical time here in the United States with the Epstein files and all of the internal battles going on, the conflicts in the MAGA world, all of that. But Trump deferring there, saying, yes, they're working on that. I've given some advice. The Republicans are doing it, and it looks like we may add Iran to the formula. I don't know, et cetera, whatever that means. But the bottom line is this. Peskov stated Russia would react very negatively if the United States passes a law imposing sanctions on Moscow's partner nations. So the big question is, does sanctions lead to peace? Or do sanctions lead to escalation? You see, I know we think we can just critically eliminate every dollar in Russia, but it is not that easy. They're partnering with mega money nations, oil-rich nations, technology-rich nations, nations that want a divide between the West and the East. I can talk about them: China, India, Iran, North Korea. Well, they're not wealthy, but they're full of people that hate the West. And I don't want to talk about the North Koreans. The regime hates the West. They will sacrifice everything to fight. And this is what we're looking at. Peskov also stated that a Putin-Trump summit, always a possibility, but Moscow emphasized any summit must be productive and require thorough preparation. And in his final statement today, Peskov said, we see that the European Union is going completely mad. That's where we're at, guys, today. We couldn't miss this update. I'm going to get some hot tea and try to get this voice back. We thank you for your support. Thank you for being here, fighting for truth. This was a critical update, and we needed to get it out as we start this week. You guys be blessed. Thank you again for subscribing and liking and commenting, joining the Discord that grew so quickly over the last few days. And the link is in the description. Hop in there. Great group of people, always chatting and talking and helping each other. You guys be blessed. We'll be back as soon as we can.